Hello, this is Becca from Willow Hill Designs. Welcome to my studio. And today I am sharing part 2 of the quilt that I have made for my granddaughter. And here it is, finished. It has not been quilted, but the top is all finished. And as you can see, I'll just show you that I put some borders on it. I put a 1-inch border, 1.5 cut, finished 1-inch border in white around the quilt. And then I just did some narrow borders of the colors that were in the quilt, the dark aqua on the right and the light berry on top, and the light aqua on the left and dark berry on the bottom. And this quilt, as I showed in part 1, is made with a not a panel fabric, actually. It's kind of a conversation print fabric, I would say, or a fabric with scenes on it. And this fabric that I chose is called Enchanted Meadow, and it is from the Flower Child line by Art Gallery Fabrics. And I used 8 of the same pieces as I showed in part 1, 8 of the same scenes for this quilt. And this is a very easy, quick quilt in between your panels, if that's what you're using, or a focus fabric. The strips are just 2.5-inch strips that are coming down. You could use jelly roll strips. You don't have to use a controlled color pattern as I did. And I just chose some colors that I thought went well with the colors in that little panel scene that I chose. And I cut those from yardage. I bought 1/2 yard of those 4 colors. And I did share a picture of the pattern that I've drawn up, and I'll show you again. Try to bring this down where you can see it well. And in this pattern, I made a few changes from part 1. These flying geese strips, I felt they were a bit much. So I just added a plain square in here. This is a 4.5-inch width group of flying geese. So I just used a 4.5-inch square. And this color is actually the same color as this fabric, is the same as the sky fabrics and the flying geese. I'll show you that. Hopefully I won't make you too dizzy. But that plain fabric square, you can see it there with the bows on it, that is the same fabric that is in the flying geese. So that's one of the changes if you do take a screenshot of this. I'll try to hold this up and get it so that you can take a screenshot of that pattern. And I will also try to put a PDF in the show notes. Hopefully I can do that. In case you'd like to make a quilt like this, if you have a panel that you'd like to use, or a fabric with interesting scenes. The other thing that I did in this quilt was these pink strips here, to me were very, I don't know, kind of jumped in your face. So I decided to add these little squares here, just to give sort of a little kind of a whimsical look to the quilt. Let me zoom out for you. And it is a very, I don't know, it just sort of made it to me a little bit more cheerful and whimsical looking. And there's no set pattern. I put 2 up here, and then up here I did 1 high, 1 low, 2, and then 1 here I did 1 high, 1 low. In the center I did kind of a triangle, with those squares, and then down at the bottom I did a high, a low, two together, a low, a high, then two together, and I feel that they just really add a lot to the quilt. And I didn't want to piece those squares in. I just thought that why do all that work? This is such a quick and easy quilt, a nice quilt if you'd like to make something up for someone special or for your own home. So I'll share how I made those squares. If you'll just bear with me while I put my phone in my stand, and I'll try to show you. They're very easy, and they are appliqued. So what I did was, again, I cut the fabric that is used in the flying geese in the sky. This will actually be the backing fabric, but I used it in the flying geese for the sky, so I used that same fabric for these little squares. And what I did to apply them and have them nice and accurate, nice and square, I just cut out squares of this fusible stabilizer, and on one side is paper and on the other side is the fusible. And this particular stabilizer is made by Hugs and Kisses, and it's an applique stabilizer. It's water soluble, single-sided fusible, semi-transparent for easy tracing, and you can also run it through your inkjet printer and print out shapes. But for me, I just cut a square that was 1 3/8 inches because I wanted the diameter of the strips that come down from the panels. These strips that come down, the diameter across here of the square would have to be 1 3/8 inches. So if you turn the square on point, we have 1 3/8 inches. We have that, this is 1 3/8 inches, I'm sorry, excuse me. And then we have the diameter of 2 inches across this. It's just under 2 actually, across this point, which will go across the strip. So I just ironed this fusible to my square on the wrong side, and the square was cut at 1 3/4 inches, and it's ironed to the wrong side. And then the way that that you just accomplish this little finished edge square is to just use some glue, and this is a Soline glue, and I use it all the time. It's really wonderful. Very nice glue, and you can tweak the edges if you feel that they don't look quite straight the way they should, and just put another line of glue and fold that edge down. And again, continue across on the third side. Fold that seam allowance down. There's a 1/4 inch seam allowance that I allowed here. And fold this last edge down. And I just take my stiletto and kind of poke any edges that don't seem quite right, and I'll just press this quickly. So this is pressed, this little square, and it's ready to be placed on the vertical strip coming down. So let's see if I have anything here. Well, I'll just take one of these. So on your vertical strip coming down, I just put my square and turned it so that it's like a diamond shape. and pinned it there. And then I used invisible monofilament thread and regular 50 weight cotton in the bobbin. And then I used a buttonhole stitch to go all the way around that little square and secure it. And then I brought the threads to the back, tied them off, and they're applied very nicely. No problem whatsoever with that. So again, oh, I better take this out. So again, here is this little quilt, which my granddaughter loves. She really loves her quilt, and her room has a wall that is kind of this Tiffany blue here, an accent wall in her room with pretty white curtains and white bedding. And so she really loved this. So I thought I would share. It's just a wonderful way to use up those panels that you have. And just so cute. I absolutely love this panel fabric. I fell in love with it and the colors that are in it. So thank you very much for joining me today. And again, I will share a PDF in the show notes. And I will give you another look for those of you who'd like to take a screenshot maybe and just get an idea for yourself. If you're, I'll come in close. It's really quite easy. It just consists of strips, flying geese, a frame around your focus fabric or panel. And this one is 48 by 56, but you can make it any size. Again, as I said in video 1, you could do another row and make it wider, 5 times 12, because each of these are 12 inches. You could make it 60 inches. You could make it longer. Just depends on what you'd like to do. And of course, you can adjust where you put your panels. That is just something that's a variable and easy enough to change it up. If you'd like less distance between your panels, you can certainly do that. So thank you very much for joining me today. I hope you'll give this little quilt a try. It's really quite fun and goes very quickly. I think I got it done and working on a couple of other projects in about a week and a half. So I will see you in the next video. Bye for now.